Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to give you a quick demonstration on using colors in your web page. Specifically, I want to look at the different ways we can code colors. So I've got a page set up, and I'm going to jump over here. Notice I do have several divs, each with their own class, B1, B2, and B3, and we can see the borders on those. However, I'm going to go to .b1, and I'm going to set its background color to hashtag 900. Now this is a shorthand hexadecimal code, and you can kind of see that it's kind of a medium shade of red there. When you're working with the 3-digit code like this, the first character is red, the second character is green, the third character is blue. So based on this, I have no green and no blue, only red. Now each digit, each character here can range from 0 through 9 and then A through F. So 0 through F. That's 16 characters, by the way. Now if I did F00, then this would be a bright red, and we would see, oh, that's a bright red. If I dial that back, if I go downward closer to 0, for instance, even C is closer to 0 than F is, then my red is going to start to get a little bit darker. You probably didn't notice that, so let me make it even more dramatic, and I'll go to 500, which is getting very close to 000, and it's a very dark red. If I got to 000, it would be black. So that's a 3-character hex code. If this was a normal 6-character hex code, this could be something like 550000. That's exactly the same thing as 500. So for quick web pages, I often do a shorthand 3-character hex code, but you can do a 6-character hex code for the most variety of colors. So that's red, green, and blue. As you could predict, if I did something like 007700, now we're dealing with green, there's no red and blue, and vice versa. And you can mix colors. Red and blue can make purple, red and green can make shades of yellow, and you can go that way. The closest you get to 0, it's dark. The closest you get to F is bright. It's dark versus bright, not dark versus light. So that's one way to go. Here's something else we can do. Box 2 is going to use a background color of RGB. Now when you use the RGB function, notice I'm writing it with the letters RGB, then there's a set of parentheses. You're still going to put in 3 values or parameters, red, green, and blue. However, this time the values are going to be written as in numbers from 0 to 255. So if I did 200, 0, 0, that's the equivalent of, again, a medium kind of red. So the closer I get to 255, the brighter it is. 25500 would be the brightest red. 9000 is closer to 000, so that would be a dark red. So that's RGB. Now the cool thing about using something like RGB is you can also put RGBA, and that allows for a 4th parameter, which is transparency. So if I have a 1, it's a solid color. That's no different than what I had before. If I dial this 1 back to something like 0.4, now that red's going to be semi-transparent. Now you're really not going to be able to appreciate it much because I don't have anything in the background except a solid white background. But now that red is semi-transparent, which really changes the look of that particular color. So that's kind of neat. And the last one we'll look at for box number 3, background color, HSL. HSL is also a function, stands for hue, saturation, and light. Now this is the one I'm most ignorant of because I'm not very artistic. I don't know photo editing, vector programs very well, but artistic people are probably more familiar with this. Hue, saturation, and light also looks for 3 values. The first is going to be a number between 0 and 360, which is basically a color wheel. I'm going to put in 10. The second number is the saturation, which is 0% to 100%. 100% would be full saturation for brightness. And then the last one is light, and that's also a percentage, 0 to 100%. I'm going to start off with 50%. So you can see by doing 10, 100%, 50%, I'm very close to a nice bright shade of red. Actually, it looks a little bit orangey to me. Now, if I dial back the saturation from 100% to 60%, then that color is going to look a lot softer. Now it looks like a rusty red. I'm going to put it back to 100%. Now for the light, if I change this light, which is 50% to something like 90%, it's going to get super light and very close to the light, the white end of the scale. Now if I dial that, go really low, like 10%, it's going to look very dark, and it's going to start to get into the dark or the black end of the scale. And 50% is right there in the middle. So then it's just a matter of changing out your HSL color value. So instead of using 10, what if I chose 160? And that's this nice shade of bright green. And again, I can change saturation and light. Another cool thing, kind of like we did with RGB, is you can do HSLA, which again allows that fourth variable. One would be solid, but as I get close to 0, like 0.6 or even smaller, 0.3, that's going to add transparency to that color. So if you have an object behind that particular element, you'll be able to see through that color and see the element behind it. But it also has a nice pleasing change on the color, which it would be impacted by the background of the page. I'll give you a quick view of that. We could go to change the body of this page to background color black. And yeah, there's a couple hundred color names you can just type in. And now that my page is black, you notice that green at the bottom there looks a lot darker because it's semi-transparent. We're seeing the black come through to darken up that shade of green. And again, if I change this out to white, that green looks a lot softer because we're seeing the white come through. So there you go, several ways you can work with colors. There's hexadecimal codes, 6-character or 3-character. There's RGB or RGBA, 3 values from 0 to 255. And then there's hue, saturation, and light, 3 values. The first value is 0 to 360, and then it's 0 to 100% and 0 to 100%. So start making some colorful web pages. Take care.